All right, well, shifting gears, let's talk about the Twins now. The Twins have an upcoming series with the Pirates here this coming weekend, but set things back a little bit and talk about some of the recent games here. Max, what do you got?
I mean, they finally won a series. They've won their second series in seems like forever. Like it's been I feel they're getting back treading towards sea level again, and I think that was something we needed to see from that Twins team. Like
It was bad.
it was bad. They were off a cliff. Like they still didn't have a winning week, but
Right.
they're piling weeks of pretty much 500 baseball and
Playing a lot cleaner, getting a lot more out of the pitching staff. It seems like, and today was kind of a difficult loss for him to the Rays. Ended up was it 10 innings, 7-5?
yeah, 7-5 they gave up.
We were leading a lot of that game. It seemed like, and we just couldn't pull it out in the 10th there with giving up 3 runs on the top of the 10th, but ended up getting 1 back. But I mean, the Rays are a very good ball club. I mean, that's going to happen against good teams, unfortunately, like the Rays. So
I think they were a little disappointed not to win that series against a struggling Marlins team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a good rebound series. Like, you've been struggling, you're facing a subpar opponent, and you only can get 1 there. I think it was good to see them have 2 wins against that Rays team, not just 2 wins, but 2 walk-off wins.
Right.
I think
the bats started to come alive. We started to get some good clutch hitting, and I mean, things are starting to look up. I mean, they're starting to kind of figure things out again. You almost get the feeling that they could be starting to get hot again. I mean, it'd be awesome to get another 13-game winning streak like we had earlier in the season. I mean, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. But we're starting to play a lot better baseball. Bats are starting to come alive. Pitching's performing well over the last few games here. So, I mean, certain things are starting to look up. But
yeah, and I think too, it's good to have those wins be by walk-off, just because it brings energy back, and like it snowballs, and like sometimes you need ball luck to be on your side, and I think that's super important to like show that you can get that, and then get into that flow state where everything's going your way, and like those are the type of things that lead to 13-game winning streaks. And now like you have 2 big series against 2 NL Central foes like the Cubs. They're one of the best teams in baseball, and like you got them at home for 3. Like that's going to be a big one.
And you got the Pirates at home for 3, which Paul Skeens is lined up to pitch against Joel Ryan, and on this game on Saturday, it's also a Byron Buxton bobblehead day, so that would be a really fun game for people that are looking for superstar power to go watch. I think 2 of baseball's best on the mound, Byron Buxton, and you have to assume he's going to be playing just because it's his bobblehead day.
Right, exactly. You're not going to get much more entertainment on a Saturday afternoon, especially in downtown Minneapolis. And I think it's good to be at home, get in front of the fans. Hopefully you can get them juiced and going.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think a lot of fans are itching to see Paul Skeens pitch regardless, and Joel Ryan, and throw in the season he's having, and it's going to be a really fun ball game to watch.
And then, that's going to lead to the All-Star break, so it's getting good before the All-Star break. Or like,
if we're able to, I mean, we obviously need to win the series against Pittsburgh, and we need to take at least 2 or 3 there. That's the reality of things. It's not a 4-game series, so we can't split with the Cubs, but it'd be awesome to win 2 of those. 3 would be incredible.
Right. Like, I think the Twins would be all right with a 500 week going into that All-Star break. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that puts you in a position to like go like spend those couple days off, go sulk or whatever. Like, you're gonna be not necessarily feel great about your chances, but
you're gonna be feeling better. Those days, All-Star break, those days off are huge in MLB, and a nice reset for a lot of guys, especially young guys. That maybe haven't had the MLB grind before. I mean, minors are a different grind as well, but the MLB grind's different, and those young guys it'll be a nice break for them, and hopefully they'll come out in the second half of the season swinging and ready to go.
Yeah, I think that is the one advantage to having only one player sent to the All-Star game, is that your team's going to be pretty rested coming out of that All-Star break. And even Buck, who's going to the All-Star game. He's going home. He's a Georgia boy.
Right.
So I think he's going to really enjoy that,
Mm.
like being around his family, having his family there. It's going to be a lot of great memories, and I think he'd probably go there regardless.
Right. He's probably going back home regardless, and it just makes it even sweeter for him that
Yeah.
it's his first All-Star game
Yeah.
in his home state. And he probably grew up watching games at Turner Field, but
Yeah.
I mean, next best thing.
Right, exactly. And Dalton, we've officially crossed the halfway point in the season. The Twins are 43 and 47, so we're a little late on game 82, but still, I think it's a good time to give out some midseason awards. So we're going to give out 3. We're going to give out our biggest surprise, our biggest disappointment for the Twins, and finally our the best pitcher for the Twins this year. So Dalton, I wanted to know who you think the biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise for me. Some people would be surprised by this, and especially because he's a rookie. Brooks Lee. He's batting 266 right now. On base 301. He's slugging 394. He got an OPS of 695. And he's only got 1 stolen base, but I mean he has top level speed. Maybe not showing it as much right now, as he's still getting comfortable with the MLB level. He's showing some power, but he's had 8 balls out this year. But I mean, he's had 259 plate appearances. So yeah, I mean, he's continuing to kind of build into that MLB routine and get comfortable with MLB pitching. And I think things are looking up for him. That's kind of my surprise. I also have a dual kind of surprise for that as well.
Yeah.
For pitchers.
Yeah.
I'm good with Louis Varland.
Oh, yeah.
Louis, I mean, he's been great out of the bullpen this year for the Twins. 1.04 ERA, 1.96 ERA coming out of the pen for him. 41 Ks in 43 games and 43 appearances. 3-3 record, which doesn't obviously mean a whole lot as a reliever, just because the record and with relievers and starters is kind of a different thing. Throwing 41 to third innings, 9 earned runs, 3 of them thanks to home runs, unfortunately. 10 walks and 41 strikeouts. So I mean, you're looking at roughly a strikeout in an inning, which is good for a reliever to come in and do that type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And like his whole career is a surprise, especially starting out at Concordia St. Paul, starting out as a starter, originally starting with the Twins as a starter, and now coming out being a valuable piece in that bullpen. He's not like a low leverage guy. He's pretty high leverage guy for those Minnesota Twins. And I think the front office is very glad that they could have drafted Louis and developed him into the player that he is today. And another front office surprise for me is somebody who didn't even start the season as a Minnesota Twin, Cody Clemens, son of Roger. All he's done with the Minnesota Twins is delivered a clutch hit after clutch hit after clutch hit. You may see that 219 batting average as like, all right, that's pretty low. Like, we'd have loved that to be higher. But I don't know. He just delivered another clutch hit, down 5-2 this series against Tampa Bay. Allowed Bader to hit the walk-off homer for them, and he's just clutch hit. And like Philly didn't want him. They gave us to him for pretty much nothing, maybe a stapler,
Right.
And now all he does is have clutch hits for the Twins. Like he's already given us a WAR, so it's not like he's been too bad. But Dalton, who would you say on the flip side of being a big surprise would be you're kind of disappointed in their production right now?
It's unfortunate, I have to say this, but Ryan Jeffers, I really had big hopes for him this season. I mean, he is a catcher, so hitting might not. It's tough hitting as a catcher when you're behind the plate. Every other day. I mean, or every day it seems like. We were Twins fans were spoiled many years with Joe Mauer, and we had Kurt Suzuki back there as well for a short time. And while Jeffers does have great power, and he's at 237 right now. But you might be saying, man, disappointment at 237, but. For me, he's kind of been a disappointment in a way. I was expecting him to come out and be 275, 280 hitter, to be honest, and but that's just my opinion on that.
I think the biggest and the scariest part about that for Ryan Jeffers is that the power has sapped. Like you just look at his slugging in the last 3 years. It's the last 2 years for sure. It's decreasing, and it's less that he's hitting 237. Like that's not great, but you would have taken that in years past because he was able to hit for that power. And like only being able to slug at like a 377 clip is just not good enough. And now he's a below league average hitter, in that sense. And I think that's a big problem for him. and like something we'd like to see that rebound because he's right around that league average. He can definitely get over that 100 OPS plus threshold by the time the season ends. But someone else who's been a disappointing hitter and who could rise a little bit more alarms just because of where their age is at is Carlos Correa.
Yeah, I didn't really want to mention him just because of his resume. To be honest, I mean, you could say, well, he's batting 259. What's the disappointment about that? Well, we know his ceiling and his experience and
Right, exactly, and it's like he's right now he has a negative WAR. Like he's below a replacement level hitter. Like is he? It's like negative .1, so he's like right at that replacement level. And if you're gonna pay a guy like Carlos Correa that kind of money, because he's Carlos Correa, which he is, and he absolutely deserves that contract, we're not paying him to be a replacement level player. Like, he has an 87 OPS plus, so average is 100. So he's 13% worse than the league average hitter. And like, yes, he's a really good fielder, and that helps, but at the same point, you kind of have to have both of those things to have the contract that the Twins have paid him. And he's a veteran. He doesn't let slumps get to him. Right. He doesn't let this thing to him. These lull periods get to him, and like hopefully he can rebound a little bit better because I'd like to see him get on base a little bit more. I think that's the biggest problem. He's not even at like a 300 on base percentage. Right. So
not drawing walks.
Yeah, for sure. And like that just. If you watch the movie Moneyball, that was their big.
What does he do? He gets on base.
Yeah, like they don't care how he gets on base, and Carlos Correa is just not getting on base and like not producing the runs for the Twins that they need. And like I think he'll rebound because like he has the intangibles that you need to be a leader in that clubhouse, and I think he will rebound. And hopefully he's not. We're not saying this towards the end of the season, and like. Helping the Twins make that playoff push.
Yeah, I mean, and another person you could also, many people would also say is Royce Lewis, but he hasn't really had an opportunity to get into much of a groove this year and get into a flow just because he's been so banged up. I mean, he hasn't been as productive as you might want, but he's been banged up. So, coming at as an athlete, as a former athlete, anyways, injuries do a lot to you. I mean, physically, obviously, but mentally, I think it almost damages you the most. You lose all the confidence you once had, and you can. And, as a former college football player, and when I was healthy, I was in a groove. I got injured, and it's almost like you're taking 2 steps back and 1 step forward type of thing. You're not making any type of real progress, and I think a lot of athletes would agree with that. And so it's just been tough for him, but. Once he gets healthy here, I mean, he's got the tools to be successful, and hopefully he can put together here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I wouldn't say, it just sucked that Royce just keeps getting injured, and like this is the same old story for Royce, and hopefully eventually he can have a healthy season like Buck is having right now. Knock on wood, don't want to jinx it.
Right, I mean, I remember Buck's the first few years, I mean, it seemed like he was injured every other freaking week.
No, exactly, and like we don't want that for Royce, and
right,
like baseball doesn't even want it for Royce. But now we're gonna transition to our last award. Who's the best pitcher? And Dalton, why is it Joe Ryan?
It's pretty obvious. We kind of talked about it before. I mean, having a Cy Young almost worthy season. I mean, I think I can confidently say he's been the best starting pitcher the Twins have had since. Would you even agree, Johan Santana?
Yeah, I think. Especially with Pablo Lopez out,
right.
I would say him and like Pablo were in that race for that. But like, yeah, for sure, they've definitely been looking for that next great ace since Johan Santana, and like he's still pretty young, so it's not Joe Ryan, still pretty young, so hopefully he can like even grow to be maybe even better than Johan. Like obviously that's a high bar, and I still think that even if he doesn't reach that point, he's still a really good pitcher.
Right.
And I think he's going to be a key contributor for Minnesota Twins of the future. But I'm actually going to disagree with you on Joe Ryan being our best pitcher. I'm going to say Juan Duran.
You're going to go with the guy out of the bullpen. You're going to go with a.k.a. Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn, but this guy's got a little more control over Ricky, obviously.
I mean, he's an absolute fireballer, and he is must-see TV when he's on the mound. Mm-hmm. And Dalton, when you're a pitcher and your ERA starts with a 1, you're doing something right.
Right.
And I think that's is something I've said for Duran with a few years is like the stuff was really good and it's always been really good, but it always didn't necessarily translate to him being the most shutdown closer. He probably wasn't even the best closer in his division, but I think he's wanting to prove this year that he is the best closer in that division, and he's having a career year, and I think he is the best Twins pitcher. And like you feel pretty confident when he is out there that he's going to hold that other team to no runs, and you are going to be in a great position to win a game. So like he hasn't given up a home run yet this year. Like that's just crazy, and like
especially for a fireballer like him.
Right, and like to have like he's dang near to 40 innings already and hasn't given up a home run. Like that's just insanely impressive. Like Roger Clemens, like he was a really good pitcher, but he would give up the home runs. Now, would they be solos and it wouldn't matter as much? Yes, but like you still don't want to give up home runs. And like being an absolute workhorse, being already in 40 games this year, 41 games, 40 innings, like he has given the Twins everything he has in a career year, and like he is absolutely nasty and like putting that nastiness to become a shutdown pitcher.
Yeah, I feel like he almost doesn't get the recognition he deserves just because the Twins' record right now. The Twins aren't top of the division right now. I mean, we're in second and a few games behind in 500. But if the Twins, had 47 wins instead of 43 right now, people would be talking a whole lot more about them. And that's just the kind of reality of how it is right now. But
if the Twins were a little more east or a little more west,
right,
Juan Duran would definitely be talked about a lot more in that upper echelon of closers. And he probably should be in we haven't even mentioned him. He wasn't in the All-Star game, and maybe he probably would have been in the All-Star game if he wore the stripes.
If he's a Yankee or he's a Met or even a Red Sox, I mean, he's definitely in the All-Star game this year.
All right, and I think he will use that as fuel and motivation to propel him into the second half of the year and become even better. I don't know how that would be possible, but hopefully he's an elite closer for many years to come for the Minnesota Twins.
Mm. Well, he's 27, but 27-year-old. I mean, we see closers stick around until they're 40 years old. I mean, look at freaking
Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, Aroldis Chapman. He's an all-star.
Right.
I mean, Mariano Rivera, the GOAT.
They're slightly different styles of pitching.
That's true. That is true. I mean,
but I don't know. They're still elite closers.
Kenley Jansen. I mean, guys that were closers and were very difficult to. I mean, you could have 13 years of scouting reports on them and still not be able to figure them out because they come out with dictating what they're going to do to you instead of what you're going to do to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to know they know what's going to happen and they know how to attack what's going to happen. They just can't attack what's happening.
I mean, think about Mariano Rivera's cutter. I mean, every batter knew it. Oh, I'm probably getting the cutter first pitch, or I'm going to see it a couple times this at bat. Well, it never happened.
No, exactly not. And just what makes those pitchers elite, and you're in that upper echelon because you can do stuff like that.